Ben Beveridge here with the Beveridge Law Firm, where we specialize in representing non-custodial parents. You may or may not know this, but many years before I even thought about going to law school, I had been an advocate and activist for equal parenting laws in Texas. And several years ago, I had created a PowerPoint presentation going over common objections and rebuttals to equal parenting. I even gave this presentation at the Texas legislature or at the Texas Capitol last year at a workshop in support of equal parenting. Tonight, I'm going to give this presentation as a Texas family law attorney who understands that the way we're doing things in family courts right now is not in the best interest of children. So this is my presentation on common objections to equal parenting in Texas and some rebuttals. So I have 12 of them here. In the interest of keeping it brief, I'm only going to go through 6. The first one is the most elaborate, and if you'll just bear with me, the following 5 go pretty quickly. So the first argument that I want to go over is this argument that we already have equal parenting in Texas. This is an argument put forth by the Texas Family Law Foundation. The Texas Family Law Foundation is basically an interest group who represents the interest of family law attorneys in Texas, and they oppose equal parenting bills every year. And I have some good recordings with the Texas Family Law Foundation making these arguments to the Texas legislature, but unfortunately, those can't easily upload to this video. So here's a fact sheet that was circulated by the Texas Family Law Foundation in 2017. You can see it's from Amy and Steve Bresnans. They're the head lobbyists hired by the foundation. If you look here, they're telling the legislature that under current law, if a parent exercises all their rights under the statute, that parent will have possession of the child at least 49% of the days in each year. And then again, down here under current law, depending on when the holidays are, the non-primary parent can get 200 days a year. So even more time than the primary parent. Now, there's other videos with the president of the Texas Family Law Foundation testifying to the legislature that that non-custodial parents get 47% time with their kids. So my first rebuttal is just a common sense objection. If we already have equal parenting in Texas, then why do we have one parent that has to pay for 100% of the medical support, 100% of the dental support, and provide 100% of the transportation, and of course, pay child support? The way they justify that is because that's the parent that has minimal time with their children, not equal time with their children. Now, we're going to look at the actual time split. So under the actual time split, the non-custodial parent gets about 24% time with their kids. Here, for a whole year, the time a child spends with a non-custodial parent was plugged into a calendar in Excel. It was calculated hour by hour, and it comes out to about 2,060 hours, which is about 24% time. Now that's only if you include the summer. The summer brings that average up artificially high. If you exclude the summer and just look at the other 11 months, it's actually 20% time that the child and non-custodial parent spend together. Now that's the standard possession order. Here's the expanded standard possession order. The expanded standard possession order allows the weekends to start Thursday when the children get out of school and to end Monday when the children go back to school. As you can see here, it actually gives about 34% time between the child and the non-custodial parent. And again, if you exclude the summer and just look at the other 11 months, it's really just 28% time. So about 28% time, 34% time if you count the summer, that's about the most time children and non-custodial parents spend together. And by the way, to get this schedule, you typically have to pay an attorney, normally at least about $10,000. So where do they get this 47%, 49% time split? Well, they're not actually counting time, they're counting days when contact occurs. So if you look here, we have this, there's a 2-week period here on top and a 2-week period here on the bottom. And you look at the standard possession order. So you have 2 hours on Thursdays, and then you have Friday to Sunday. Now, if you count the hours and you do the ratio, that's 15.5% of the time in a 2-week period given the standard possession order. If you count days when contact occurs, you're looking at 5 out of 14 days. So it's 30% of the days when contact occurs. So it inflates the actual number by about 200%. And then that's not all. They also do something weird, which is called changing the bases. And I'm not going to get into it, but you got to do some real fuzzy math to get to 47, 49% time. And the only reason it would make sense to do that is if you're trying to inflate these numbers. So maybe the standard possession order, okay, maybe we have that in Texas, but maybe judges are ordering or not ordering that often. Maybe they're giving children and non-custodial parents more time together. Well, in 2017, I oversaw a study for the Texas Fathers' Rights Movement where we looked at about 1,600 cases in Tarrant County to analyze the distribution of different types of custody orders, of possession orders. And what we found was out of those 1,600 cases, between about 550 cases addressed possession, and only 79 of those cases awarded more than minimal visitation time to the non-custodial parent. Well, and only 20% of those were actually ordered. The rest were agreed. So only 27 out of almost 550 cases, only 27 of those did a judge give more than minimal visitation time to the child. So the standard possession order, it is what's being ordered in Texas. The judges aren't giving out too much time than what's given in the standard possession order. Now, as soon as I get my website up, I'll make this study available on my website. Okay, so thanks for making it through that first objection. The rest of the 5 will go pretty quickly. So 2, equal parenting would increase litigation. Again, I'm going to start off with a common sense argument. If you take 2 rooms, you put 2 people in one room, there's $1 million in there, and you tell them one of them walks away with 70%, one of them walks away with 30%. Okay, and you take the other room, you tell them you'll both walk away with 50%. Which room do you think those individuals are going to fight more? The one where there's a unfair distribution, right? 70, 30%, they're going to fight more. And also think about the bag that money is in. Think about the damage that's going to occur to the bag when they're fighting over it. Which room do you think is going to have the nicer bag? You know, the bag is like the children in custody cases that get damaged when parents fight. So currently we have a winner-take-all adversarial process, and it just does not mesh well with the best interests of the child. Now, there's been studies in Australia after equal parenting was implemented, 72% of the parents now settle divorces without legal services. There's been multiple studies on this, and studies have found that if you order equal parenting, hostility gradually gives way to cooperative co-parenting. Instead of just looking at studies, you can look at actual results. In Arizona in 2013, they passed some equal parenting laws, and they keep track of their domestic relations cases. And as you can see in this graph here, there's no upward trend after 2013. I mean, it was trending up, but the overall trend, and it comes back down, the overall trend since 2013 is not going up. And what I don't have in here is the information for Kentucky, but Kentucky passed equal parenting laws too. They found that their cases didn't go up, and in fact, their domestic violence cases actually dropped after they put in equal parenting laws. Okay, Number three, proponents of equal parenting only want to reduce their child support. One, it's a baseless ad hominem attack. That's a way of dealing with the argument where instead of focusing on the argument like you should, you focus on the proponents of the argument. So whenever you say proponents of equal parenting just want to eliminate child support or reduce child support, you're not addressing the argument. The argument is equal parenting in the best interest of the child? Also, this bill won't affect the way child support is calculated. Right now, in most courts, I know in Missouri County, whether you have this standard possession order issued or expanded standard possession order issue, your child support's not going to change, even though the time distribution does. So going back to this fact sheet that the Texas Family Law Foundation handed out to the legislature regarding equal parenting bills, you scroll down here, and they even agree, child support is not determined by how many days each parent sees a child, nor should it be. And here they go. Many who want the law to provide exactly equal times of possession believe they would not have to pay child support. There's another video of the Texas Family Law Foundation testifying at the Texas Capitol, and they're going on and on about how parents who want equal time with their kids are just trying to reduce their child support. And here we have the Texas Attorney General's child support calculator. And I have plugged some numbers in earlier, but you can see this child support calculator. All it wants to know is how much money do you make, ask some information about taxes and other deductions, and then it wants to know how many children you have. That's where it comes up with this guideline percentage. So all in Texas, all they want to know is how many kids do you have and how much money do you make. They don't care about how much time you have with your children. Okay, so argument number four, equal parenting would restrict a judge's discretion. I've heard it said that it'll tie a judge's hands. So currently in the Family Code, Chapter 153, Section 252, the Family Code says that there's a presumption that the standard possession order is in the best interest of the child. It's a rebuttable presumption. But so currently, it ties their hands to the standard possession order. And then the next section, 153.253, says that, okay, if the judge doesn't order a standard possession order for whatever reason, they'll issue an order that comports as closely as possible with the standard possession order. So you're talking about restricting a judge's discretion and tying a judge's hands. That's what we have right now in the Texas Family Code. And not only that, but it ties the judge's hands to a type of possession order that social scientists have been saying for the past 2 decades is detrimental to children. The equal parenting bills actually allow a judge more flexibility than the current statute. For instance, if he finds that equal parenting is not in the best interest, a judge can put in place a different order. This just says where the judge starts. You start assuming that the children should have equal access to both parents. And then if there's reasons to vary, if there's distance or of course abuse or anything like that, then you vary. These bills, none of these bills tie a judge's hands. So number 5, equal parenting, it would force children to live out of a suitcase. This is the argument that children need stability. They need to know where they're going to sleep every night. They need to, you get the idea. So when parents live together, there's 2 stabilities that the children gain the benefit of. That's the stability of having sufficient time with both parents and the stability of living in the same house every day and sleeping in the same bed every night. When parents split up, you can't have those 2 stabilities anymore. So then the question is, which one's more valuable? Should we give the child the stability of the same house, or should we give the child the stability of sufficient time with both parents? Well, it comes down to what's more important, a bed or a parent. You can't replace a parent with a bed, but that's what the Texas Family Code is doing right now. Social scientists, they find that children have the best outcomes when they come from an intact family. The second to best outcomes come when they have equal access to both parents. And then, like, the worst outcomes are when they only see one of their parents a minimal amount of time. They live in a single parent household. Some studies have found that when children have equal access to both parents, that they have the same outcomes as children who are raised in an intact family. And why is that? That's because children need parental bonds, strong parental bonds formed between both parents. They can have that when they live with both of them, and they can also form those strong psychological bonds when they have equal time with both parents. When they only see one of the parents every other weekend, they don't have enough time to form that psychological bond. This is detrimental to children. A common sense argument here is, you send your kid to school every day, right? And school has like vastly different rules than your house does. And this goes back to the argument that children, they don't do well shifting back and forth between parents' houses, adjusting to different rules. It confuses them, and it's not good for them. And the response is, well, you send them to school every day, right? Has vastly different rules in your household. And while they're at school, they go to different classes. They go to recess and lunch. And this is, you could say, highly unstable. There's different rules in each class and lunch and everything, but you still send them. That's because children are resilient. And studies have found that children are resilient in this regard. This is just one of many studies. 50 moves a year. Is there association between joint physical custody and psychosomatic problems with children? Now, ultimately, the finding was no. This 50 moves a year going back and forth between parents, one day a week or once a week, it doesn't have any detrimental effect to children. This is just one of many studies that have found this outcome. Okay, so still on this, stability argument, this, well, it forces children to live out of a suitcase. You're a visual learner, and I am, and this argument is the most appealing argument to me. So here on the left, we have a standard possession order. You see 2 hours on Thursdays, every other weekend. Here on the right, you have an equal parenting, week on, week off schedule. So you find that here on the left, the children go back and forth between the different households 12 to 14 times in a standard per month in a standard possession order. So on your typical equal parenting order, week on, week off, it's 4 to 6 times. And most of those exchanges are done at school. For instance, dropping them off at school and getting them when they get off the bus. So if you have high conflict relationships between the parents, the children aren't exposed to that. We went over that study. Okay, so this will be the last one for the night. Conflicting parents won't be able to make decisions together. That when the children, when children have equal access to both parents, that now all of a sudden the parents have to make a lot more decisions together, and they're not going to be able to do that. And so the child will be stuck in the middle. Well, my first bullet point here is parallel parenting works. If you don't know what parallel parenting is, that's the idea that parents can essentially be like the tracks of a train. They're parallel tracks, train tracks they never touch, but they support the train and they guide the train. The train is the children. So the parents can both raise their children, guide their children, and not interact much. In other words, the parents don't have to interact a lot for children to be well adjusted and have good outcomes. Additionally, the equal parenting bills, they address possession, not decision making. The Texas Family Code differentiates physical possession from legal possession. Legal possession is called conservatorship, and this is where we address decision making. The rights to punish your children or to access school records, uh, decide who attends extracurricular activities, things like that. That's conservatorship. It's not addressed in possession. It's not addressed in these bills. So the rights and duties of the parents in regards to making the decisions, that's not going to be changed by this bill. Okay, so like I said, I'm only doing the first 6. Uh, Another night, I'll do the other 7. The other 7 are, well, equal parenting treats infants like teenagers, boarded parents live far apart, equal parenting. At this time, the bill was HB 453, offers no standard schedule, and 3 other ones, which I'll address on a later night. Hope this video wasn't too long. I hope it was informative. If you have any comments, please comment on the video. If you have any questions, please message the page. I'll be happy to answer. I have tons of supporting information. This PowerPoint and lots of other information will be posted on my website as soon as I get my website up. In the meantime, if you want access to it, just send me a message or request, and I'll happily send it over.